Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you Game 3 in a best of 3 series, something that I always want to hear, as we have Idra losing in Game 2 and Mana losing in Game 1. So Idra, classic Idra, I understood his frustration. Idra had so many advantages that you could think of on Shakuro's plateau, but because of just the way the map was set up, and the ways that you were able to attack into your opponent's bases, Mana utilized that map and really showed me how the TSL version of that map is just simply favors a lot of more Protoss play as opposed to Zerg, and slowly taking out expansions and able to take the lead. Mana now opening up with a low ground pylon here. I believe those barrels are actually path blockers. So this is, I believe, the narrowest point on the ramp here. And you can perhaps go down a gateway, a forge, another gateway, and a pylon to be able to do the wall off. We are going to see a probe make its way around the map, getting into this location here. See that there is not the Zerg player, and Mana going to continue on his merry way. Now, some people were suggesting that I do intros for players. If you do not know who Idra or Mana is at this stage in the game, then you haven't been following StarCraft 2 for very long. Idra was a former Class S player who was in Korea for quite some time. He is back in the States. I believe he will be playing at MLG Dallas, or not MLG Dallas, MLG Columbus. And that should be a very interesting just lineup. Mana, on the other hand, I believe is a European player. Don't know from which country, but Mousesports is more of a European clan from what I gather, as we are seeing a Forge and a Nexus should be warping in just a moment as well. So this is going to be a North America versus the North American server style of play versus the European style of play, and we'll see what happens here on Terminus Ray. Now, Terminus Ray, one of those maps that has multiple versions as well, so you always have to be careful. There are 6 mineral patches at the third base with a rich Vespene Geyser, making this a true 3/4 expansion. No destructible rocks leading into this location here, so you are not going to have to worry about trying to protect this expansion nearly as much, as it's very difficult. It's actually a little bit more difficult to get to as opposed to rocks and then a vent line of sight blocking. We are having Idra setting up a hatchery down over here, and now Mana just moving around with this one probe, battling it out. The probe actually getting some damage onto the drone, as some Zerglings now coming in as well, and that probe's days are numbered, as that probe now down to 5 shields. The Zerglings getting in 2 more slashes, quick slashes there, and Mana looking to sacrifice the probe for the greater good, trying to get as much sight information as possible, but quickly running into the claws of the Queen and not seeing the extractor over here. The extractor quickly getting 2 drones, not 3. Not quite sure why Idra doesn't have 3 drones on there, as I'm sure he wants that metabolic boost and in a hurry. Idra doing his classic macro style of play, setting up a third base before the 4-minute and 30-second mark, as I believe he did scout out his opponent and saw that he did go for it. No, he didn't even see that yet, so he doesn't even know where his opponent is, but he felt safe to try to establish another expansion here. This is particularly true because there are no destructible rocks. So a couple spine crawlers here with a common choke point, and that additional hatchery being able to produce additional army units, definitely going to help. Mousesports' Mana with 1 pylon on the low ground, 1 pylon up here, and we are getting that cybernetics core and a zealot being trained. And this is a rather large choke point for a zealot to try to prevent any run-bys, but I guess with the photon cannon in the front, the zealot is able to get a decent amount of damage, and those Zerglings have to try to squeeze through and perhaps also run by that photon cannon there. Drones are being queued up already. 7 drones now being power droned out by Idra, as Idra queuing those units up as quickly as possible, and now transferring drones perhaps just to that low ground expansion. Harvester count, 30 drones versus 29 probes, but that's going to quickly change as 3 more drones now making their way out, and with another Queen being trained up at that low ground hatchery, Idra has to feel very confident with himself. One of the things to note, this is a rich Vespene Geyser, so this should be the next geyser to take, just because it allows for faster mineral mining with 3 drones, or faster gas mining with 3 drones, compared to these other extractors here. An evolution chamber also coming in. Evolution chamber has become very important in the anti-Protoss game, as a lot of Protoss players recently started going into Stargate Pressure. Stargate Pressure, very annoying to deal with if you do not have a spore colony. Or sorry, Spore Crawler, as those queens are very vulnerable to get graviton beamed and shot down out of the sky, as I believe Phoenixes only take 35 seconds to build, 25 with 1 chrono boost. Mousesports running off of 2 Nexuses still, and now getting into a lot of gas. So we are going to be running into 4 gas play with a lot of gateways, and I do not see a Twilight Council anywhere nearby, so I'm wondering what exactly Mousesports is going to be spending all of his gas on, as his gas economy is going through the roof now. You can see the Rich Vespene Extractor has already been established there, in addition to this one here now being built, and now finally a Roach Warren being added to round out that army. Level 1 missile upgrades coming online, and I think this particular group of minerals, or this particular build, will work out much better here on Terminus Ray, as there is not a ramp leading straight into the base over here. Shakura's Plateau has that ramp leading from your natural expansions, and because of that ramp, it is very difficult for the roaches to put pressure on that front door wall at all. Overlords now slowly flying their way, making their way out. Zerglings activating the Zelnaga watchtowers, and the production, 61 harvesters versus 47 harvesters, with a Twilight Council finally being added. A lot of gateways are being powered, 6 gateways off of 2 bases, and we should start seeing some actual army units. Zealots and Stalkers need to be added. Perhaps the weapons upgrade has already been completed, and now we may start to see even more and more weapons upgrade. Yeah, level 2 weapons upgrade on the Zealots, so the Zealots will be able to slice through those Zerglings and even those Roaches with higher efficiency, as they do not have that level 1 armor research just quite yet. Blink also being researched as well, as Blink is going to help increase the longevity of those Stalkers, and also allow those Stalkers get within combat range very quickly. A Zergling trying to run by, unable to do so, but still we do not see Mana setting up another Nexus here, and this may become his undoing, as his economy is going to start to slowly fall behind. 65 drones versus 47. And there you go. You can see a 700 resource difference between, or 700 to 800 resource difference between Idra and Mana at this stage. And Mana going to have a much more difficult time trying to do a true wall off here, as there is not double entrances into the base. Idra now flying around with this Overlord, getting a good sight. He's going to see those 2 gateways here, sees that the Chrono Boost is on the Twilight Council, knows that either the Stalker Blink or the Zealots charge has been completed, but I would really like to see Zealot charge, since there are a decent number of Zealots, and more Zealots should be added in just a moment. 19 Roaches now queued up and ready to fight. We already have the level 1 weapons upgrade, but this time we're going to see the level 2 weapons upgrade completed by Mana, so Mana going to have the superior army at this stage in the game, as Mana going to have 2-0 upgrades versus 1-0 upgrades. But Idra definitely has numbers on his side. 174 versus 110, 65 drones versus 47 probes, as the level 2 missile upgrade is about to be completed. And now in come the Roaches. Roaches now trying to come in, trying to swarm, getting a decent amount of damage across multiple units here. Stalkers are trying to blink back, but the Stalkers are just out of position, and that's a lot of force fields to use. Many of those sentries are simply out of energy now, as the Roaches are able to simply retreat and perhaps try to regroup and regather. Another round of Roaches going after a Stalker. Down it goes there, as more and more units are still being warped in continually. 182 food versus 108. Army-wise, we are about even in terms of total resources. Actually, Idra slightly ahead at 400 more minerals, 400 total resources higher at this time. And the Roaches, once again, coming back in, trying to get a decent flank there. And because he is on creep, able to walk around pretty efficiently, even though the force fields are going down. So multiple force field sentries are essentially mass destroyed, and it looks like none of the Stalkers were actually intercepted in that attack, as the Roach is now trying to come back in and giving chase towards those Stalkers. Stalkers are blinking away, and it looks like the Stalkers are on the run, as the Roaches picking and choosing their battles, getting a lot of damage on those fleeing units. But the Stalkers moving at the speed of light, able to blink back, and now perhaps try to hide behind this wall. But with no photon cannons, and especially without Psystorm, these roaches are going to be able to get a lot of damage in on this front door here, as those stalkers only have a range of 6. Overlord now quickly going to get shooed away by these stalkers, as that one Overlord already shot and destroyed. A Nexus should be coming in here as soon as the creep recedes. Army-wise, 4,300 or 4,500 versus 2,350 in terms of total resources. So Idra almost at double this stage and may win this battle with only roaches. 45 roaches now make their way out. Mass roaches battling it out. And now does Idra even have burrow? Yes, Idra does have burrow and getting some damage in there. One zealot now caught on the wrong side. Level 2 weapons upgrade completed. Roaches looking to perhaps deal even more damage, making sure that the Cybernex core shields do not recharge. And now once again coming back in, we are getting the Groove Spines and Hydralisk as well. More drones being queued up. So we're going to get into the 74 drone range, or 76 drone range in just a moment, as this group of mineral patches is now being harvested by Idra. Hatchery already in play. This hatchery, or a hatchery placed over here, is most likely within the near future, as the ventral sac upgrades now being researched. And that is going to be just absolutely bad news. Idra may be able to do a sheer doom drop into the base. One of the benefits of Zerg overlords is that the fact that because you have so many units that can perform the drop, what happens is all the units drop down very, very quickly, as opposed to, say, 8 Marines out of a medevac. 4 roaches can come out of a overlord rather quickly. It looks like there's going to be pressure on the front door and the back door all at the same time. The army of roaches, 32 roaches coming in just a moment. An overlord being forced to scurry away as the roaches try to put pressure and make sure that Mana doesn't see this drop happening over here on the right. The drop now coming in though, and the drop going to simply take down multiple production buildings. You can see that the stalkers and the zealots are now trying to make their way in. Multiple units are unloading here as the roaches simply just swarm out. And now the roaches also coming in through the front, getting some damage onto that pylon, or onto that cannon there, and now going after some other critical buildings. Roaches battling it out. The zealots now finding to fight back, and we are getting some Psy Storm across multiple Hydralisks here, as the Hydralisks are fighting their way and able to stake this game. But the Roach is now going after probes in the main, or at the main expansion as well, as this Nexus may get sniped down. Level 2 weapons upgrade already completed. Level 3 has not been started yet, but this Nexus will get taken down. Archon dealing 43 damage in attack, and needs to fight back. Archons do have a decent movement speed. I believe the same movement speed as an SCV. As those stalkers, are they going to blink? No, unable to blink to catch up, but a lot of damage already dealt, and Idra sitting at max food with 3,300 hit points. Gets the GG from Mana. So Mana, knowing that his natural expansion destroyed, this expansion also never set up, and knowing that Idra most likely running off of 3, if not 4 bases, says GG there. So thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed this 1v1 replay between Idra and Mana. And Idra taking game 3 in this best of 3 series to take the win for Evil Geniuses. I believe that is the first time Idra or Mousesports has beaten Evil Geniuses so far, according to my cast. So we'll see. This is going to be a very important, very critical series right now, as if Mousesports or Evil Geniuses are able to take a 4-1, 4-1 victory, it may open up room for, say, Fnatic or MYM to sneak in and take third. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed this 1v1 replay and this game 3 of best of 3 series. Evil Geniuses narrowly getting the victory here on Terminus Ray.